Damon hung up and gave the prearranged signal to Thomas to set the wheels in motion. Slowly lowering the cell, Chris, ashen-faced, walked toward the desk to join his son. Enzo was transfixed, his face lit by the computer screen, watching in horror as the numbers representing his family's business assets went into freefall. In a matter of minutes, the business that had taken years of graft to establish was gone. Chris collapsed onto the chair, cursing himself for having underestimated Damon.
That's it.
He said in an uncharacteristically small voice.
It's all gone. We're bankrupt.
For once in his life, he couldn't see a way out. It would be on his watch that the great Laurier family would have to declare bankruptcy.
He's won. He's brought us to our knees, and we'll make a killing into the bargain. He's more like me than my own son.
Chris thought bitterly. He knew that Damon would buy out what was left at rock-bottom prices, then recoup his outlay twice or 3 times over.
What do we do now?
Enzo was still staring at the computer screen, willing the numbers to change back in his family's favor.
What we should have done earlier. We do as he asked. We apologize to the Vandergelts.
Enzo had been so distracted by events that he had forgotten all about Teresa being in the suite. That was until he heard a loud thump and looked up and saw his father kneeling before her, his hands raised in supplication. On hearing her family's name, she had emerged from the bathroom and was shocked to find the formidable head of the Laurier family begging her for forgiveness.
Teresa, please accept my apologies on behalf of my family for what my son did.
Her eyes widened as she looked from father to son. Chris followed her gaze.
Enzo, get over here. Get down on your knees.
He commanded, conscious of the presence of the staff on the street outside the window. Invited by him to witness Teresa's humiliation and now treated to his own, Enzo had no choice but to do as he was told.
Teresa, I'm sorry. This is all my fault. I've been thoughtless and stupid and didn't show you the respect you deserve.
He bowed his head. Teresa looked around the room to see if someone else was present, forcing father and son into this act. She remembered her earlier conversation with Damon.
Did he do this? Maybe I should have listened to his reassurances. I could have saved myself all this trouble,
she thought. Taking her silence as a good sign and counting on her good nature, Chris nudged Enzo, forcing him to shift his gaze from the floor.
Get the rest of the family here too. They can apologize as well. This is what it takes.
No.
Teresa cut in, deciding that it would be wise, for the sake of her family, to keep on good terms with the Lauriers.
I'm sure Enzo has learned his lesson and will treat people with more respect in the future, won't you?
She looked pointedly at him, receiving an eager nod in return. Chris jumped to his feet and clasped her firmly by the hand before looking down at his son.
What are you waiting for? Take Teresa home, and from now on, we put the Vandergelt's interests first. Whatever they need, that's what we do. Got it?
Got it.
As Enzo ushered her out of the Laurier Hotel and into a waiting car, Teresa tried to figure out what had just happened. When he returned after seeing Teresa safely home, Enzo lost no time in calling Damon.
We've done as you asked. We've apologized to the Vandergelts.
Why are you telling me?
Damon asked nonchalantly. Enzo cursed inwardly.
I thought you'd want to know. Wasn't that the deal? So, can you back off now, please?
Back off from what?
Enzo put his hand over the phone to mask his frustrated squawk.
Do you need me to spell it out? We've done as you asked, so leave our family alone.
Oh, I see.
Damon's silken tones only served to further enrage Enzo, as was his intention.
You should have said, but I think you misunderstood me. Maybe I wasn't clear. That wasn't the deal.
What?
Enzo abandoned his efforts to keep his emotions under control.
So what the hell was all that about?
I was just pointing out what would be the right thing to do. I still intend to ruin your family.
Rendered inarticulate by rage, Enzo let the phone fall to the ground. In Thomas's office, Damon calmly ended the call and placed the phone on the desk. Holding grudges didn't sit well with him, but he was prepared to make an exception when it came to the Lauriers.
It's the best thing for everyone,
he told himself. Thomas looked up at him from the computer screen.
The acquisition plan has been a great success. We threw a lot of money at it, but we've already earned 3 times times what we paid out.
Over at the Vandergeld family home, the whole family was at breaking point. They all bore the shame of the public exposure of Teresa's company over the fake Californium, and felt sure that the Laurier family would be waiting to take full advantage of their fall from grace.
Put on the news now.
Responding more to the unexpected excitement in the housekeeper's voice than to his words, the family gathered around the TV. They watched with growing relief mixed with jubilation as they read the banner headline breaking the news of the bankruptcy of the Laurier family. Their celebrations were muted by the absence of Teresa, but not for long. Again, it was the housekeeper who made the announcement.
Miss Vandergeld is back.
Teresa appeared at the door looking disheveled. She anxiously scoured the room.
Where's Tiffany?
The housekeeper was quick to answer.
She's home safely, miss, but went straight to her room. She didn't look happy.
Thank you. I'll go and see her.
Tiffany raised a tear-stained face to the door at the entrance of her sister.
What happened? What did Enzo do to you?
I'm okay.
Teresa cupped her sister's face in her hands and wiped the tears from her cheeks.
It's over.
She decided to spare her the details, and she didn't know if it was a good idea to tell Tiffany the whole story.
I'm not sure I really understand what happened myself.
She thought. The reaction of her family when she had entered the house convinced her that they couldn't have been behind it.
Not that I thought they would be. They couldn't do something like that to the Lauriers.
She thought. Deep down, she was convinced that she did know who was responsible.
Damon! It has to be him. But how?
Teresa wondered.
So, what's going on between you and Damon?
She asked in a lighter tone.
Nothing.
Tiffany answered, a little too quickly.
Honestly, there's nothing going on between us. Abigail was right. I'm too good for him.
Teresa opened her mouth to respond, but thought better of it. The fall of the Laurier family was already a lot to deal with. She decided that it wasn't the right time to share her suspicions. Back at the Laurier Hotel, Chris and Enzo paced the floor of the presidential suite.
We can't let him get away with this, Dad.
Chris had been clenching his fists so tightly he'd started to draw blood where his nail dug in. He had always been a bully, but now the tables were turned.
Of course we can't. And we won't.
With Labor Day just round the corner, Damon wrapped up the liquidation of the Laurier family's assets and got ready to go home as soon as he could. Esther was delighted by her son's return, immediately taking him grocery shopping to stock up on his favorite food and drink. On their way home, they bumped into Jenny Langford, an old classmate of Damon's. The two hadn't been close. Damon had kept himself to himself. He had been a top student and hadn't been without his admirers, Jenny among them. He had rejected her advances, however, in favor of his studies. He hadn't given any further thought to the matter, so seeing her brought back only fond memories of high school. While Damon had gone on to university, Jenny had gotten a job straight after graduation. From her designer outfit and matching bag, she was clearly doing well.
It's Damon, isn't it?
She said. She might have pretended not to be sure, but she had never forgotten him. Nor had she forgiven him for rejecting her after she had laid open her feelings for him in a love letter all that time ago. Seeing the attractive woman in front of him, Damon felt a moment of regret for the choices his younger self had made.
Loser, it's payback time.
Thought Jenny, studying his awkwardness at the meeting and noting that he was out shopping with his mother.
A group of us from school are having a get-together. Why don't you join us? And I won't take no for an answer this time. Don't say you've forgotten all about us now you've made fancy new friends at university. As if, from where I'm standing, university life doesn't look that great.
She thought. She thought about her boyfriend, who had, like her, gone straight into a job from high school and was working as the manager of the Laurier Hotel.
Of course I'll join you.
Fabulous! You're such a sweetie. The others will be thrilled.
Jenny's delight didn't match the glint in her eyes.
Everyone's gonna laugh when you turn up looking like that.
She thought. Out loud, she said.
We're meeting at mine at 8 o'clock this evening, then heading out together. Maybe you could take us? What kind of car are you driving these days?
Taking advantage of Damon's stunned hesitation, she continued.
You do have a card, don't you?
She secretly imagined not. He was, after all, still a student. She imagined him in a dusty library, his head buried in books as he had been at school, in stark contrast to the expensive lifestyle she enjoyed.
You did me a favor by turning me down, but that doesn't mean I've forgiven you for it.
Jenny mused.